These videos have been possible with the help of those that support me on Patreon, so thank you guys for your constant support, and if you want to support me, you can click on the link on your screen right now, or click the link in the description below. Thanks a lot. Hello everybody, my name is Tyler Valle, and I told you guys that I was going to be doing a rant style video, old school Tyler, back to the beginning, the way things were back during Gamergate video, about the Overwatch controversy yesterday. But luckily for me, the wire to my Blue Snowball mic had actually broken in the middle of me recording that video, and I had to order a new one, but I ordered it overnight shipping. It was like $3 more, and it showed up today, so I can do a video now. And I have to say I'm lucky because if I would have released that video yesterday, it would not match my opinion on the situation today. As of yesterday, the pose is being removed from the game. That is dead serious. No, okay, so let's just take a step back and we'll talk about it from the beginning. For those of you who don't understand what I'm talking about, there was a pose in Overwatch, the pose that's on your screen right now, that was removed from the game. It was a pose for Tracer. The conversation to remove it was sparked by a forum post by a moron, and I'm saying moron. I'm trying to keep this calm, but I'm not going to let that one pass. This person was a moron who wrote a stupid post saying that they were offended by the Tracer pose because it didn't fit her character. So they wanted the pose removed. Blizzard responded to that post by saying, hey, you know what? We don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable or unwanted or underappreciated in our game. We want you guys to feel like you are empowered and you guys are properly represented, so we are going to remove the pose. And then they locked the thread, and then 11 hours went past. That was the only post that they made. Yes, we're removing it. You're right. We're bad, and we'll try to do better. Which is the fucking saddest thing I ever hear from a video game company anymore is, we will try to do better. We will try to do better. We will try to do better, which is basically their way of saying, we're sorry we created something that made you offended, that you weren't able to handle like an adult. We'll try to make things more baby-proof for you. And that's what that's what the message was sent across. So 11 hours pass with no more information from him, and the internet, basically the forums, explode. Now, before we get to my final opinion on the situation, I want to make it clear that the overwhelming majority of people that I've seen at least posting about this are not in favor of this pose being removed at all. It seems overwhelmingly that both men and women do not like the idea of this pose being removed from the game, especially because of one person complaining on the forums about it making them uncomfortable. So Blizzard finally came back and said, whoa guys, shit's getting fucking crazy in here, so let's just kind of expand on that post, because that post was vague. And yes, it was. It was probably the worst post that you could have probably made about this controversy, and you basically were asking for this controversy to explode onto the internet the way that it did. They then came out and said, look, we were already planning to remove that pose, and we're just going to use the opinion of the forums to springboard our idea to change the pose for another pose that we have had in the works for a while. This is not us caving into the demands of people to remove the pose. This is just simply us making a creative decision, and we want you guys to realize the game itself is going to be kept in the state that it's in. We're not going to continue to make changes. We're not going to make any unnecessary changes. We like the fact that you guys like Overwatch, yada yada yada. Basically good PR stuff. The thing is, I don't know if this is true or not, and I'm not saying one way or another. I don't know if they had another pose in the works to work on. I don't know if they were already planning to remove the pose from the game. I don't know any of that. Okay, so here's what my opinion is on the situation. Obviously, you guys want to know what my thoughts are. That's what this video is about. I think that they did have a pose in the works, and they were planning to replace the pose that they were removing from the game. Now, the reason why I say this, it was brought to my attention that there are multiple other poses in the game that are very similar, if not the exact fucking same, as the Tracer pose that was removed. Now, this is just my personal bias here, but let me just go on a little bit of a tangent. I hate when MOBA games, specifically MOBA games, but there are a few other games out there that do it. Smite is a perfect example, where there are emotes in the game that multiple characters have because of they're lazy. Multiple characters have a wave where they just stick their arm over their head and they just wave it like a Neanderthal. Multiple characters have a dance, and that dance is the exact same dance. I do not like, in these games, when these poses are used over and over and over again. It is lazy, and it doesn't speak well to the product. It makes it feel like it's unfinished, and you were just copying and pasting to get a full product at the door. Now, because there are multiple characters in this game, which again you can see on the screen here, who have the same pose, I do think that the poses are placeholder poses for new poses to come in before the game comes out in its full release. Do I believe that they were planning to remove the Tracer pose as fast as they were? No. I absolutely don't think that they were planning to remove it as fast as they were. Do I believe that there was an internal discussion on when to remove the pose, and they had already decided to remove the pose? Yes, I actually do think that they were planning to remove the pose from the game, just to swap it out for another pose. Now here's the thing that I don't understand as to why that pose has to be removed from the game and they can't just add another pose in along with it. But if they're going to remove that pose from her, and they were to remove it from other characters, I would be more okay with it. I don't understand that there needs to be a very limited number of victory poses for the characters, except for the fact that every character needs to have an equal amount, so there's an equal list here. So making sure that there's an even playing field, so all the characters have the exact same amount of emotes. That could be the only reason why I see it as a justifiable reason to remove this pose from Tracer. Now, to the person who wrote the stupid forum post, all I can say is if you don't like the pose, just don't look at it, just don't use it. They're problem solved. It doesn't need to be removed from the game. You don't need to ruin the fun for other people because you feel that you are their moral compass. Go fuck yourself. From the bottom of my heart, I cannot stand people like you. People like yourself are the cancer that is killing creative freedom within gaming, and the people who make excuses for you and the people who defend you, or people who say it's not a big deal, that people like you go onto forums and you harass and you bitch and you moan until companies bend over, submit to your will, and apologize. We've seen this time and time again with multiple different video game companies. I think the most egregious one was the one about Lionhead, which I did talk about. There's going to be a link in the description to that video. I did talk about it before. It wasn't just about Lionhead. It was about Lionhead and DC Comics, I believe. But mostly about Lionhead because that one really pissed me off. You are a blight on gaming, and the more power people like you get, the worse gaming gets actively for everybody involved in it, except for people who are like you. Do us a favor and find a new fucking hobby to ruin. You have gone from place to place spreading your fucking cancer to ruin everything that people hold dear. You fucked comic books to a point where you had to see several reboots just as an attempt to maintain paperback sales. You gone in and tried to fuck up tabletop, though obviously that didn't work because tabletop is left up to the interpretation of the players itself, so thank God you couldn't do that. And you guys have been a fucking cancer in video games since like 2010, so fuck off and fuck you and fuck people who defend you. But this is a situation where I don't think that there's a loser or a winner. I think that the Overwatch situation is a non-issue that blew up because, and partially because of people like me, who are very reactionary and get very upset very fast. But I also think it's very important that gamers and people who are supporting these companies make your support of them and what they do very, very vocal. Now, when it comes back down to the Blizzard statement, do I believe that this is just a PR move by them to try to stem the controversy? I don't know. I have seen bad PR. Koei Tecmo's comment about Dead or Alive Extreme 3 not coming to the West was bad PR. It was a fucking mess. They didn't say anything. They didn't confirm or deny. It was just them trying to spin what one of their team members who were working on the game stated on Facebook, which, as I said then, and I'll say now, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to believe the actual person working on the game and not the PR wing. In this case, this person who's doing the PR is also working on the game, and I don't find there to be a lot of faults in his line of thinking and in his line of logic. Do I like the idea that he is using this forum post by this idiot to speed up the process to remove the pose? No, I do not, but if the pose is going to get removed anyway, you might as well just remove it from the game now and just leave it be. Maybe, who knows, maybe the new pose is going to be releasing for the game is going to be even better, maybe even sexier. I'm not sure. Do I think it's going to be now? Absolutely not. I don't think that they want to stoke the fires anymore on at least this situation. I think it's just very unfortunate that this is happening to the Overwatch developers because they've been working on a game that I'm very attracted to for two reasons. One, the art style is right up my alley. I love that cartoony art style, that Team Fortress-esque look. I like cartoony games, and I like the diverse cast of characters. I like the fact that I can play as a spunky British girl, as a purple girl who puts on a visor that makes her ass bigger for some reason, as a monkey, or gorilla rather, with glasses, as a samurai, as an angel who's fucking awesome, by the way, as a QT little Eskimo chick. I'm glad that there's like just this huge cast of characters that you can choose from in that game. That's really one of the main reasons why I'm so interested in it. One of the last things I'll say here, and it's probably one of the few opinions that I said the other day that I stand by now, to the game developers who are working on Overwatch, I doubt you'll watch this video, because I doubt this video is going to get as much traction as a video of me yelling and screaming would. But you, and I think to a degree that you do, but you need to acknowledge the fact that the main group of people right now who are driving interest in your game are the people who are doing porn of it. Because look, the game is in closed beta, in a very closed beta, by the way. Other than a few streamers who are streaming your game, there's not a whole lot that we have to look forward to until the game releases, or you do an open beta test for the game. Which, as we know, when a game is in closed beta and it does open beta, that open beta weekend, they are not prepared for that. They have not stress tested for it, and it's going to be fucking a disaster. And like a quarter of the people who are wanting to play it are actually going to get a chance to play it. And those that are actually getting a chance to play it, I would say about a quarter of them actually get to have a good experience playing the game. The other 3/4 are having trouble staying connected and trouble playing the game. So we don't have a whole lot until the game actually releases. So right now, the main people who are driving interest in your game are the people who are doing porn of it. I've seen firsthand that all my friends right now are only interested in your game because of the source filmmaker artist who work tirelessly to create smut of your game. And I'm not saying embrace that idea. I'm saying just acknowledge those people and don't pull what you pulled in this way. If you're removing the pose, don't make it seem like the reason why you're doing it is because you're taking a more sex-negative approach to the game, because you're spitting in the face of these people, and you're spitting in the face of all the people out there who thought the pose was fine, or thought the pose was cool, and they liked the pose. Again, both men and women who were on the forums defending this pose got basically ignored by you, and even in the follow-up PR statement were ignored by you. It made it sound like they were a minority rather than being the overwhelming majority in this situation. I know what that feels like to these people, and it feels shitty. And I've talked about this before, but I'll talk about it again. During the Batgirl Change the Cover fiasco, right? A variant cover came out that was a throwback to the Killing Joke. And the guy who works on Batgirl now, his name's Cameron Stewart, mentioned that Gamergate, not by name I don't think, were sending death threats to the women who wanted the cover changed. And I had sent him a message on Twitter publicly saying, hey, I'm getting death threats, and I did. I got 3 death threats. They were fucking pissy from fucking egg accounts. To me, because I was defending the cover. They were death threats sent to me because I was a rapist. I'm doing air quotes. And I thought it was okay that women were killed. I told him this publicly, and his response to that comment was to block me on Twitter. So I know what it feels like to be ignored when you go against the narrative that somebody is trying to push forward about a product. This guy then proceeded to go on to shit talk the guy who drew the variant cover, which the variant cover was one of the coolest variant covers I had ever seen. And I would have broken my no singles purchasing rule to actually buy that variant cover if it ever had released. But it didn't. And the guy ended up having to pull the cover because people were receiving death threats. He said both sides were receiving death threats, and then he followed up by saying, actually, it was only people who wanted the cover removed were receiving death threats. Which, again, is a shitty thing to do. But honestly, in his situation, I don't blame him for that. In short, I know what it feels like to be ignored in that situation, and it feels shitty, and I think Blizzard should have done a better job at handling the situation. But do I think Blizzard is kowtowing to social justice warriors? No. Their games have way too much raunchy content in them for them to really give a flying fuck about that kind of nonsense. I mean, remember what we saw when we saw Jeff Keighley bring up Gamergate during the fucking BlizzCon? He's like, you guys put Gamergate in their place, and the guy just looked uncomfortable. It's like, I wasn't talking about Gamergate. I wasn't mentioning by name. I was talking about everybody involved in that situation, which was fair, by the way, a fair assessment on his part. Blizzard doesn't want to be involved in that fight, and I don't think they care about that fight. And again, they've tried very hard to circumvent that kind of bullshit by making their game as diverse as they have. So to those of you out there, and I did see a few people saying that they weren't going to buy the game anymore because the poses are removed, I'm just going to say, please reconsider your position on the subject. Anyway, that's just my opinion, so let me know what your opinion is down below. Make sure you like, favorite, and subscribe, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. And you guys can follow me on Twitter. I spend more time posting on there now than I do posting videos because of school and everything. You guys have a great day, and peace out.